Hello, this is Jimmy Lennon Jr., and a big shout out to my friends at Valera Boxing. It's showtime!
Valera Boxing, idol, shout out.
On Friday, March 4, Joet Gonzalez from Los Angeles, California will face Jeo Santisima in a 10-round featherweight co-feature on the top-ranked Ramirez Pedraza card at the Save Mart Center in Fresno, California. In the U.S., this fight will broadcast live on ESPN+. Joet Gonzalez boasts a record of 24 wins and 2 losses, 14 of those wins by knockout. He's coming off a loss by unanimous decision against Emmanuel Navarrete in October of last year in San Diego, California. Jeo Santisima has a record of 21 wins with 3 losses, 18 of those wins by knockout. Santisima is coming off a first-round knockout victory over Alan Alberca in July of last year. That fight having taken place in the Philippines. Magandang araw mga kaibigan, wala sa Pilipinas. I'm Chris from Valera Boxing, and I'm joined by Carlo, Philip, and Monty. Carlo, Philip, Monty, kumusta kayo?
Mabuti naman. Let's go.
So what's up?
What's up, guys?
Go, Geo. Woo!
I'm back from Las Vegas, where I spent a little bit of time with Jeo Santisima as we were there to support Jerwin Ancajas. I do want to take this opportunity to say that we wish Jerwin a true warrior, a healthy and speedy recovery.
Yes,
and we'll be with you again when you're ready to step back in that ring. But this week, it's Jeo Santisima's turn. Guys, in person, he looks to be in incredible shape. He looks fit and ready for a tough fight ahead this Friday. Gonzalez and Santisima have a common opponent, both with the same results, and that's a loss to Emmanuel Navarrete, one of the top of the 126-pound mountain. Gonzalez lost by decision, Santisima lost by TKO, but both showed incredible heart and ability versus Navarrete. So this is certainly set up to be an intense battle. Styles make fights, and this should be a great one. Carlo, what are your thoughts for this Friday?
Gonna be a tough fight for Geo, but I believe in Geo. Geo fought Navarrete as well. Even though he didn't win, he showed that he can hang in there, and he's very tough. He took a lot of punches from Navarrete, but who doesn't take a lot of punches from Navarrete? And he stood there and he fought bravely. He tried to counter. He tried to time him. He tried to hurt him. But, you know, unfortunately, Navarrete was just too much. But Joet is also a tough opponent for Geo. So this will be good. I think this will determine, this is a make or break for Geo. And I still believe that he can win this fight, and I believe in him. I believe in him a lot.
Yeah, this matchup is through my eyes, it's a pretty even matchup. You look at their records: Santisima 21-3, Joet 24-2. They basically have the same record, with Santisima with the edge in KOs. So I think it's going to be a close matchup. If I had to give the edge, I would give it to Geo, but at the same time, I feel like it could also be a coin toss who wins this one. But it's going to be fireworks, this fight.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I think this is a very close fight. I think Jeo has a really good shot to win it. And I think that the way that he wins it, because I think it's going to be a tough fight, and I could see this going either way, is to do a little bit more boxing. I think Gonzalez is going to come in, try to declare war and try to bring Geo into the fire. But I believe that he has a much better jab. I don't think that Gonzalez has a jab. I think Geo has a jab, and he's going to have to use that jab to deter Gonzalez from coming straight in. What that fight against Navarrete showed us is that Gonzalez is willing to take massive damage to the point of fighting with a broken orbital bone. And I don't think Geo has that kind of power, but I think he has the skill to pull this out. and maybe win this fight with a stoppage by a late exchange. But I think that early on, Gonzalez is going to try to bring the fire, and I think Geo has to be smart, has to be strategic, and not get sucked into a war that I think is unnecessary, and we could pull it out towards the later rounds. That's what I'm saying. It's a possible victory. I'm rooting for Geo, but in the end, I think we're gonna go the distance if we stick to our defense and our fundamentals.
Yeah, I agree. I think both these guys have a desire to unload on one another, but someone's going to have to technically adjust and be a little bit smarter and not necessarily unload. This could be very much a deep water fight. They both went into deep water versus Navarrete. So there's a potential for them to go into deep water with one another. They have chins. They have the ability to take a lot of shots and absorb power from their opponent, but they could unleash at the same time as well. I don't think Geo necessarily needs to do that. Like you guys all said, he has amazing ability. He has incredible boxing ability. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. He does have to box a little. Monty, you mentioned his jab. He could stick this jab out. One thing I noticed about Geo when I saw him in person, he is long. His wingspan is long. He has a long, slender frame, but he's not small by any means. He has that type of frame where he could box. And if
he looks long.
He can stick out his jab. So let's speak about some physical attributes and technical advantages that Jeo Santisima has over Joet Gonzalez. What are they?
Well, for one thing, when you watch the Gonzalez fight against Navarrete, he is almost completely lacking as a counterpuncher. He simply exchanges and waits for the other guy to unload, and then he fires his shot. It never entered his mind during that whole massive war to punch with Navarrete. And I think that another thing is he is extremely susceptible to wide shots and hooks. That his primary defense is to simply either take a shot right to the face or to have his hands block it, which still hits his face. That's part of the reason why he took so much damage. And I think that his complete poor skills at counterpunching, as well as his very suspect defense, is why I really believe that Geo has to box a little bit more and take superior angles. Because I really think there's massive liabilities and gaps in Gonzalez's defense. But those gaps are there, but they have to be taken advantage of. Can't be drawn into a war. And I think that's a little bit what happened with Navarrete. There was a level more temptation to slug when the skills are there to box. And this guy Gonzalez doesn't have much boxing ability. It really doesn't.
That explains him taking a lot of shots from Navarrete. And even though he was taking a lot of shots from Navarrete, he continued to come forward. All right. So, and that's a powerful guy in Navarrete. So I think Geo is going to have to gain his respect. With his power, maybe not even, you can tell Joet can take some punches. So maybe let's change the levels up, go to the body, slow him down, and most importantly, get on an angle instead of staying there or moving backwards against the ropes. That looks bad. So I think if they have a game plan, hopefully angles is part of it, and getting the respect by hurting that body.
Yeah, like I said before, it's such an even matchup that I feel like it's just a matter of who makes the adjustment quicker and who makes the proper adjustment. As far as what Carlo was saying before with distance and timing, I feel like it's just a matter of who gets that distance down first and who gets their timing down first. And it's also who's going to control the pace. And a lot of that has to do with who's going to throw their jab better. Hopefully, Geo throws his jab a lot more than Joet, so he'll have the edge. But I feel like a lot of it depends on who controls that pace. It's like you guys said before, Navarrete and Gonzalez were trading a lot. And I feel like it's because Navarrete basically controlled the pace and made Gonzalez perform at a pace that he wasn't used to. He threw a lot of punches. They traded a lot, but Navarrete got the best of those exchanges. So hopefully Santisima doesn't get drawn into an all-out firefight where they're just training like Gonzalez did with Navarrete, and hopefully he does what you guys say is hopefully box more, use his jab, move around, and go to the body to slow him down.
What does Joet Gonzalez need to do to come out with a victory over Jeo Santisima?
Well, he's gonna do what he's gonna do. I don't think it's gonna change much, but he's gonna do what he's gonna do is to come forward. That's if you come forward and if you come forward against Navarrete, and it was and he had to. I don't think he's gonna change it for anyone else. I don't think anyone else is as strong as Navarrete. So if that works for him, and he can dominate someone, then he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna come forward. I think he's gonna try to overwhelm Jeo. And Jeo, like I said, like you guys were saying, he can't get drawn into a firefight early, and he can't fall into that trap. The whole fight, it's gonna have to. Phil said it's even fight, fine, and it's gonna have to be the thinking game at that point.
I mean, well, first of all, he's not going to find a jab overnight. He's had his career. He's not going to find it the next 4 days or from the last fight. That's a fact. What he can do is improve his lateral defense and head movement. I'm sure that he doesn't want to get his face broken again, and I'm sure his trainer had to put some kind of warning heading into this fight because he knows that Geo's dangerous. He knows Jeo can stop him, and so they may have a plan for better head movement and better lateral defense, especially like I said, the susceptibility to hooks at range. He's even taking hooks from long distance. And that's something we can take advantage of too, that Jeo can take advantage of as well. But like I said, Gonzalez, if he tightens up his defense, this could be a much more difficult fight. That's a gamble.
Yeah, I agree with Mont. Gonzalez definitely has to tighten up his defense. You saw it in the last fight with Navarrete. It was just a slugfest. It was a war. And the result of it was his face getting cracked open. So I would say keep that aggressive style going forward with volume, but be mindful of your defense as well. Because if Joet comes forward against Santisima like he did with Navarrete, Santisima could probably crack his face too. 18 KOs in 21 fights. Jeo could crack too. So I would say, move forward, throw up volume and combination punching, but also, like Monty said, be wary of your defense. Remember that you have to keep your hands up, move your head, more lateral movement, so he takes less damage and doesn't get cracked like he did against Navarrete.
I'll be honest with you guys. I think Jeo has a really good opportunity here to land on Joet Gonzalez. He does have that ability. That knockout ratio, Phil, that you just mentioned is what I have in my head. And he's been in there with the best, and he's been in high-profile fights. In fact, that Navarrete fight was on a Fury Wilder 2 undercard. So the stage is certainly not too big, and he's a co-main on this card here in Fresno, California. So the lights will be bright and the stage will be big, and I don't think that'll necessarily overwhelm him. So it's just going to come down to what happens in that ring. Against Joet Gonzalez, like I said, he does have that opportunity to land. He is, from what I've seen, a very skillful fighter. And he's going to have to do some of the things that we talked about, maybe box a little more, certainly some movement in defense and not get hit so much, not necessarily get sucked into a firefight. But let's be honest also, this is going to be a firefight. So with those thoughts, what are your final thoughts or final remarks on Jeo Santisima and what he needs to do to come out victorious here on Friday?
Yeah, starts and ends with the jab. Starts and ends with testing whether Gonzalez has improved his defense, counterpunching effectively, and taking advantage of superior boxing ability. But of course, as Chris just said, it will be a firefight. There will be some tense, exchanges. Hopefully, not as many as the last couple fights. But he's got to come out on top, be defensively responsible, and know that although he's in danger of being put down, he can knock this guy out too. He stays. If the odds are saying he's the underdog, I'm still willing to put money on the guy because Gonzalez doesn't have defense. But we can't take that lightly. We've seen that before. So stay focused. He's a superior boxer. He's been tested at the highest level with in the brightest stages and the brightest lights. So I say we can pull this out.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but I do believe too, like there's a few things, you know. Mott, I agree with you with the jab. You're going with the jab. Um, you're going with the jab. Feints, especially some feints, throwing some feints in there, make them react to your feints, really sell it, attacking the body. You know, it doesn't have to be in that order, but I think using those, we all know Joet is hittable. So I think it's going to come down to execution of the game plan, whether you want to throw, you want to throw the jab out there and just kind of find a range, timing with, with the counters, going hard to the body. And I think that, you have to earn his respect early for Joet. You don't want him to go fast early in a round where he's fresh. You want to slow him down, earn his respect, make him think a little bit instead of just going forward and just going with the jab crosses and get you against the ropes and smother you and throw more punches. Jeo needs to really utilize his skills on this, his jab, his angles, he loves going to the body. He's very good at going a left hook to the body. He's really good at that. I think he can earn his respect or even stop him if he just lands that one body shot. It could change the whole fight. I'm going with Jeo. Jeo, I'm with you all the way, man. Let's take this home.
I got one more thing to say based on what Carlos said regarding Gonzalez is, yeah, absolutely invest in the body, test him, take the starch out of his punches, but also, to be honest with you, test his eye. Test that repaired orbital bone. He may be more wary and more sensitive, and who knows how his vision was affected.
Make him drop his hands, right? Make him drop his arm. Oh, make him react. Boom.
And let's just test his eye. I'm sorry, that's a savage thing, but this is the hurt business.
Yeah. Navarrete was his last fight, and he's going to be conscious of that. I mean, that's, you have whether you want to call it flashbacks, trauma, PTSD, whatever. That's the last experience you had when you were in the ring. And you just have this, your brain and your body just naturally reacts to that defensive mode for a piece of your face or a head that was severely damaged. And it'll just be instinct.
And perfect, because Jeo likes to counter with the left hook.
Right.
And you can double up on the left hook. You can double up. You can throw that left hook up top. You can throw that left hook to the body, double up on each side, hook to the body, make him drop his head, hook up top. All right. If one good left hook lands and we see that thing bubble up, then you know it's there.
Yeah, I want to mention something about what you said just recently, Chris, when you mentioned that Joet's last experience in the ring was getting his face cracked by Navarrete. We talk a lot about the technical and physical skills. What's Joet thinking psychologically going into this fight after coming off a loss? It's like you said, is he going to feel some type of PTSD or anxiety or stress just coming off a loss and getting his face cracked? Geo's last experience in the ring was turning another guy's insides into mush with that body shot
in one round.
Yeah, in first round. So, Geo's coming off a win. So what are they thinking psychologically? Will it affect Joet going in? Will he be hesitant to pull the trigger? We'll see. But, it could be a deciding factor in whether that last experience will affect his performance fight night.
I think another thing that Jeo has an advantage of, I mean, his coach is an ex-boxer as well. So you have two boxing minds there working in the corner. So the shared experience and the shared experience and chemistry, hopefully that's something that they saw.
Yeah, actually, I would have taken some time to comment on that also. Just being in Las Vegas over the weekend, I saw that chemistry firsthand. I mean, first of all, they're incredible people. Forget about the sport of it all and, what's going on with their training and boxing lives. Those two are incredible people. And with each other, they have some fantastic chemistry as well. I mean, they know when they have to work, they work. But when it's time to have fun and to be there for one another as friends, in addition to trainer fighter, they do that. They do that also. It was a pleasure to see, and it was really an honor to be a part of that. And I'm I'm honored that they allowed me to capture some time and spend some time with them and seeing that environment. But I too have Jeo Santisima. Like I said, there's an opportunity here for him to land on Joet Gonzalez. I know we all know Joet Gonzalez is kind of going to come forward. Jeo is going to have some defensive responsibility, like you guys said, because this will be a firefight. You don't necessarily need to do that for all 12 rounds. You could actually pick and choose when you want to be offensive, but it's equally important to be picking and choosing when you're defensive as well. And if he puts it all together and perhaps executes all of the elements that we mentioned, he's going to come out on top on Friday. Leave us your comments and let us know who you think will win this Friday. From the Save Mart Center in Fresno, California, Joet Gonzalez and Jeo Santisima.
Let's go, Geo.
Let's go. Santino, baby. Let's go.
Okay, baby. Let's go, Santino. Geo. Sige na. Let's go.